In today's lesson, we're going to focus on tense skills that we can use within English language. Always super important to be able to use tenses correctly. So you remember in the last module, we were looking at the past perfect and present perfect. Well, today we're looking at the past perfect, present perfect, continuous. Similar but slightly different uses, and also how we form them in terms of language is slightly different too. But do not be afraid of the perfect tense. I'll be showing you it's quite simple actually to create this tense, as well as use it once you understand when and why we need the perfect continuous tense. Okay, so let's take a look in a bit more detail. These tenses are both used to discuss durations of time, whether it's a duration of time in the past that have finished or a duration of time that started in the past but is still happening now. Let's take a look at our timeline for a bit more information. Here we have past, present and future. So let's take a look at the past perfect. Here we have two lines or two events. We can say the beginning and the end of an event. In the past perfect, we are talking about a duration of time from start to finish, an action in the past that we started and finished. The present perfect is similar but slightly different. We're talking about an action that was started in the past and is happening up until now. So slightly similar, again a duration of time, much like the past perfect, but an action that started in the past and still happening now. Okay, let's take a look at an example. So here we have the past perfect continuous, an action finished, started and finished in the past. She had been waiting for a long time. In other words, she started waiting and finished waiting in the past. She's not doing it anymore. She had been waiting for a long time. Then she stopped and did something else, I assume, or stopped waiting. Okay, so a really easy way to put this, the difference, the present perfect, using the same example, she has been waiting for a long time. In other words, she started waiting in the past and is still waiting now. So we can see that just by changing that auxiliary verb had into has or even have, depending on the subject, we can easily change between past perfect and present perfect. As simple as that. We'll go into a little bit more detail shortly. So there we have the past perfect continuous and the present perfect continuous. One, an action started and completed in the past. The other, the present perfect continuous, an action started in the past and still happening now. Okay, let's take a look in a bit more detail. So the past perfect continuous, an event started and finished in the past. Here are a few more examples for you. We had been playing board games till late at night. Obviously not anymore. We had been playing board games. We had been playing board games till late at night. I had been living in Sri Lanka from 2004 to 2008. I'd been living in Sri Lanka from 2004 to 2008. So there we have two examples of actions started and completed in the past. And we're really interested in the duration of the event, the process of the event. I'd been living in Sri Lanka from 2004 to 2008. So there we're talking about the interest really is the whole process of living in Sri Lanka from that time. Okay, so quite easy to structure and create. We have a subject plus had or not, hadn't for negative, subject plus had plus been plus verb ing, and then continue the sentence on. Let's take a look at present perfect continuous, an event started in the past and ongoing now. They have been waiting for the stores to open up. In other words, they're still outside the shop waiting. They have been waiting for the stores to open up. We haven't been hanging out much recently, and I still haven't seen this person. We haven't been hanging out much recently. Okay, so quite easy again to form. Subject, the auxiliary changes, and that's the difference. Has or have, our present auxiliary verb, has, have, plus been, plus verb ing, and continue the sentence. Really is as straightforward as that. So let's jump into a live speaking video and we'll go through a couple more examples on a question-based scenario. So the question that we're going to base the situation of the examples on is, has your family thought about moving? In other words, has your family thought about living in a different location? And here we can use the past perfect continuous to show that we considered it, but we had doubts. We can express doubts with the past perfect continuous. We had been thinking about it, but we decided against. We had been thinking about moving, but we decided to stay here. So there you can see that I began thinking about doing something, but decided against. The start and the end of the action. Has your family thought about moving? Well, we had been thinking about moving, but we don't think we will now. Similarly, we can say in the present perfect continuous that we're thinking about it before and now. Has your family thought about living in a different area? Well, we have been thinking about moving, although we're not too sure now. So I can share that we're still in the process of deciding something. The action started in the past and is ongoing now. We have been thinking about moving, but we're not so sure now. So there we can see some really good examples of past perfect continuous versus present perfect continuous. Also, it's going to be worthwhile for us to have a quick look at the question form. I thought this might be quite interesting. So in the past tense, we can say had, subject, been, ing. Had she been playing tennis for very long? Now that indicates in the question that I know this girl, this lady has stopped playing tennis, but she played previously. Had she been playing tennis for very long before she stopped? We can also use the present perfect continuous. Has she been playing tennis for very long? She's amazing. Has she been playing tennis for very long? Which is to say that she started previously, is still playing now. Has she been playing for very long? How long has she been playing for? So there we can see the question form of the past and present perfect continuous. Okay, so just a few more examples for you there, a little bit more insider knowledge shared on the past and present perfect continuous. They're pretty easy tenses to make, but understanding where we use them and also making sure our sentence structure is correct is definitely slightly tricky. So do make sure that you're practicing this tense as much as you can.